Today, we're talking about the power of the narrative you tell yourself and how that story can either limit you or unlock an impossible level of potential. Welcome to the Doing What You Know podcast. I'm Ray Thigpen. This show is about closing the gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it. Through real conversations, lived experience, and practical insight, we focus on mindset, growth, and becoming who you were created to be. Let's get into it. Welcome to episode 11 of the Doing What You Know podcast. I'm your host, Ray Thigpen, and today's guest is someone who knows firsthand what it means to overcome some of life's most difficult challenges and how to lead from that experience. He's the founder of Impossible Performance. His name is Matthew Hill, and I'm excited to welcome him on to share his story today. Matt, welcome, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Ray. It's an honor to be here. It's been so exciting to connect on school with different entrepreneurs and thought leaders and people pushing forward in the same kind of thought and space. And I really love a lot of what you bring to the communities you're in, because I know you have your book, and I'm sure you learn so much and gain so much experience through that. But you have this way of putting really complex thoughts and ideas into very kind of simplistic sentences and words, which is one of the most powerful skills I think you can have, because so oftentimes, and I'm guilty of this as well, we like to go on and put these complex thoughts into large stringy sentences, and really I think that's just not what impacts people as heavily. Whenever you can condense that down, put it into the fewest words possible, to generate the most impact moving forward, it's a powerful skill. So I love seeing that from you and learning that, and hopefully better incorporate that in my own style going forward.
No, I appreciate that, Matt. Before we get into your story, I'll touch on that a little bit. One of the reasons why I try to be concise and short is because in my life, I've experienced a lot of overwhelm and a lot of noise, and I've come across a lot of people who have the same challenges. They just have so much stuff going on that are so overwhelmed. So I teach, take things one step at a time. Just back off, go a little bit here, and don't worry about the big picture. If you take the little steps, you'll get to the big picture. So that's kind of why I try to keep everything concise and to the point. So to the point, tell us a little bit about your background, Matt, and what, your backstory, how you got to where you are now, and a little bit of that journey.
Absolutely, man. So I've got a big long story. There's several parts we could dive into, but I'll give you the heavily annotated Cliff Notes version first, and we'll dive into whatever parts of it you'd like. My journey really started back in 2013. I lost my leg to cancer when I was just 18 years old, and I had to go through about 9 months of pretty intensive chemotherapy regimen. And what I tell people, to give you an idea of kind of what that year was like for me, when I talk about the amputation, a lot of people gravitate toward that because it's obviously a big, serious thing that is permanently life changing. But what I tell people every time is the amputation was the best part of 2013 for me, because I got to be off chemo for 3 weeks. That's how bad that treatment was for me. And everybody has different experiences. No two people's experience are going to be the same. But for me, it was one of those things that every single day it felt like it was slowly stripping my humanity away. I got weaker every day. I got more sick every day. And it was incredibly negatively impactful on my physical health, obviously, but also my mental, emotional, and spiritual health, which are what we call the 4 domains of performance at Impossible Performance. Toward the end of that journey, one of the chemo agents actually ended up eating a hole through my colon, which let all of my waste product go out into my body. And I had no immune system at the time either. And that put me into what's called septic shock, which is a massive body-wide bloodstream infection. Started having organs shut down on me. They put me on a fairly advanced form of life support called ECMO. And it was pretty experimental back at the time. Basically a machine that pumps the blood out of your body, oxygenates it, filters it, and pumps it back in. So it acts as essentially an artificial heart, lung, and kidney, which is pretty wild. But it kept me alive. And again, keeping the story short, I was able to, come back from that, come out of my coma. I was paralyzed in a coma for about 2 weeks and had a very, very, very long road back to recovery. Doctors thought I may never walk again. that when I first came to, they were giving me a mental acuity test designed for first graders, and I failed every one of them. I couldn't name 5 words that start with the letter B. And what was so crazy about that time is in my brain, I knew I should be able to do that, but I could not make my brain respond in a manner that would allow me to do that.
Hmm.
Fast forward from there, I about 2 months later, I actually ended up walking out of that hospital, and so much of that time really pulled back the blinds for me on the idea of human potential. Here I was, I had so many doctors and medical professionals, experts in their fields and phenomenal at what they do. But they were placing limitations on me, saying that you're going to have to do this. You're going to need 6 months inpatient rehab. If you ever walk again, you're going to be mentally handicapped the rest of your life. And it would have been so easy to just give in to those limitations and allow that to be the narrative, the story of my life. And fortunately, my father was with me at that time, and he didn't let me give into that narrative. We decided to write a different story. And just because of that simple action, the story I told myself back then, it's what influenced so much of my physiology and that recovery, and allowed me to keep an open mind to what could happen. So rather than not even trying to walk, we worked at little parts of it every single day until we got walking back, and then slowly got the mental acuity back. And from there, went on through life. I was able to earn a doctorate degree. I've been able to, I got into marathon running. I've done several half marathons, and even been working toward a full marathon the last few years. Had several pursuits in powerlifting, deadlifting and squatting over 500 pounds in competition as an amputee. And really all of these things are just an amalgamation of this same belief that I've known to be true since my time battling cancer. And that is that we all have an impossible level of potential within us. We all can create a version of ourselves who could not or should not otherwise have existed in the face of the challenge that we battle. And we can actually leverage that challenge to bring forth that person. It's a lot of what you talk about, not focusing so much on the macro, not worried about how do I beat cancer, but rather focusing on how do I build the version of myself who can beat cancer. And that's a daily practice, a daily devotion that we have to be committed to every day of our lives. And so that's really where our idea of be impossible comes from. It's this idea of I'm going to build that impossible version of myself who is going to do that impossible thing. And that's what I've done with cancer. That's what I've done with running marathons. It's honestly what I did when I had to overcome alcoholism shortly after my cancer journey. I got lost on some dark paths for many years, and I used that same framework in climbing out of that, and then as well as in powerlifting. And so what we've done with Impossible Performance is we've got a few key strategies to what we're doing. One is working on the individual basis, the one-to-one, in helping people pull forth their impossible self. And we do that by helping them first take control of the story they tell themselves about themselves. We then use that to optimize the 4 domains of performance, and then work on creating every single day that impossible version of themselves.
Yeah.
We also do one-to-many in our public speaking, and talking to some corporate environments, and really diving in deep to the human condition, and really laying out the example and the groundwork for people in that setting. And then now, most exciting, we have our school community where we've been able to build an entire community around this idea, this philosophy, this life practice. And it's been the very most exciting part for us, being able to have that community atmosphere, that community environment, something we've had written into our vision since day one. We just never knew how we were going to create it until school came around. And we can put coursework on there. We have regular group calls, webinars. It's just everything we've ever wanted, all combined into one platform. So very thankful for this opportunity and to connect with guys like you and like Sean and Scott, who were opening up massive doors for people to leverage this platform and other platforms in order to grow these communities and further this mission to the highest extent we can.
Yeah, the school communities are awesome, and what an opportunity to allow us to voice whatever we have to say. Things like what you're describing, that one-on-one mentorship to get things started, because so many people are just stuck in their own mind where they are. You could have easily stayed stuck in where the doctors were telling you you were going to be limited, But then I'm assuming your dad kind of played a mentor to you in that way and coached you forward and said, son, you don't have to listen to what the doctor said. You've got your own thought patterns that you can develop and your own ambitions and things that you can do. And so you can be impossible. You can beat those odds. And I love the way you do that. And then the power of community after that one-on-one mentorship. It's great to have somebody coach you along, but until you can join that body of like-minded people and really get to express your opinions and to pull in other people's ideas and their opinions and meld all of that in together to form your own new opinions, to become the better version of yourself. That's what's so great about our school communities, because they're all niched down to whatever our particular interests are. Unlike social media today, which just is a mishmash of noise and everybody coming from every direction, and all you really want to do is scroll through and get off. You don't even want to read stuff anymore because it's all stuff that just it gets your blood boiling and you don't want to be there, unless you've got the mentality where you can just scroll by. It's like everything today is drama, and as social media, and not even social media in general, feeds on drama these days. And who needs that? That's not beneficial to anybody.
Yeah.
So,
well, here's the thing is media, and particularly social media now, it's designed for emotional dysregulation. We actually have a course up in our community about emotional control and regulation. Social media is designed for emotional dysregulation. It's designed to make you angry or to make you resentful, or potentially in some cases to make you feel guilty. Like, I'm not doing good enough. Look what this other person's doing in their life. Why am I not there? And I'm guilty of it just as much as anybody else. The way the content is presented to us through their complex algorithms, it's designed to fuel off that, because it does what? It keeps us engaged in the platform. And what school has really been able to offer that is so exciting to me is it offers alternative engagement through authentic human connection. So now I can get on my school community with Impossible Performance. We can talk about the emotional regulation and control course. So we're actually building emotional regulation while still providing engagement on the community, and that community support network structure. And what I love the most about it is I just feel like I know everybody in that community, even if they're people I didn't know prior. I know them now, and they're real people with real world human problems that we can build connection around and all grow together from. So it's not this silo that social media is now. A really interesting practice is, if you are married or have a really close friend, get on their phone sometime, pull up Facebook or Instagram and scroll through their feed and just watch how entirely different it is from your own. It almost seems like a different platform. I know when I've done that with my wife, it is mind blowing to me. So when we get outside of that filtered silo, get outside of the algorithm, it's amazing the world we have the opportunity to explore. And it's hard to even realize we're trapped in those silos until you get to a place like school and realize how much open community is out there for you.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I found most amazing in school, being as how we're in our own niches. It's like you and I, when we first met, we had this conversation. We had so much in common, having never known each other, but we're in the same community. And that's why it's almost like the algorithm's working in reverse. It's actually pulling the like-minded people together rather than taking what you're doing and bringing the rest of the social into you. It's kind of a flip side. It's weird, but it's nice because it's so much easier to collaborate with like-minded people. And then the people that do come in that maybe need the help, so they're looking for the help, we're there to offer the help. It's still right there. It's not like we have to figure out exactly what their problems are or where they're coming from, because we already kind of have that idea because they're already in our community.
Yeah, and what's really crazy, I'd be interested to see if you've had this happen to you yet, Ray. What's really crazy is we get people come to our community now, and just through the chat that happens on the discussion boards, through the chats there, I've actually had people teach me things about my own message that I didn't even know until that discourse happened on the community. And that was one of the coolest moments I'll always remember as a school community owner.
Oh, absolutely. I just had a conversation yesterday when somebody was asking about, they didn't call it an elevator pitch, But basically on my about page and my one line description, what is my one line? And I went back and read it. I'm like, well, that's kind of vague. So, it's just something I didn't think about. So now my one line is much more powerful. I'm helping people overcome fears and challenges and become the better version of themselves. But before, my line didn't say anything like that. It was more like the title of my book, Doing What You Know, Breaking Through the Invisible Barrier, which could mean anything.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and it is interesting to get that third party perspective because we know our message so well. We know what it means, what it symbolizes, what it signifies. It's really hard to break out of that sometimes. That's something I had to learn with podcast titles and playing the YouTube algorithm and things like that. But again, that's another huge feature of school is I feel like I can be infinitely more creative on that platform in the way that really sparks my interest. We've all got unique creative interests, but I've had to filter that for so long to dance for the algorithms of Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, because you do have to play that game if you want reach.
sure.
It's just an unfortunate reality, and if you build a platform like Joe Rogan has, then you can expand on that creative reach. But while you're still in the building phase, you've got to play the algorithm game. Being on school, you don't have to play that game. Your people are going to see your posts, and if they're interested in it, if there is genuine human connection and interest with your work, your words, your posting, then it will be reciprocated with engagement. And so I find it a much better gauge as far as what actually speaks to people and what's not just manipulated so that it's shown to more people.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to post some outrageous falsehood just to get people to engage on it, right? Tell you how stupid you are just to beat the algorithm. It's school has just been one of the things that I'm seeing in my community. Of course, the reason I started my community was because of the message in my book. I wrote the book and then I realized that the message was much bigger than the book and I had to go out and do other things. And the school platform was the first thing that became available rather than going outside and trying to find speaking engagements and all that. I mean, it was right here. So some of the challenges that I'm seeing now are, for example, the other day somebody said, well, you should develop a course in your classroom on how to self-publish a book because you've done it. And my first thought was, yeah, that would be a great idea. Then my second thought was, but that's not really the message behind this particular community. That might be for a different community down the road. And it would probably be a profitable community because there's plenty of people that want to write a book that always, all my life, people told me, you need to write a book. I'm like, yeah, well, one day. And that's the way most people are. So there are some good things to be taught about how to self-publish, but that's really not the message that I'm trying to come across with in my community.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and it is a trap, right? Or not a trap, but a pitfall we can fall into. Anybody who has this entrepreneurial drive and spirit, we all have these thoughts going off all day long. If I could do this, and I could do this, and I could do this, and I really liked how you opened in the beginning talking about keeping not just your message concise, but keeping your life and your own actions concise, focusing on what's right in front of you, and we have to be able to focus in on and say yes and pursue the things that are really truly in line with our core passion, our core purpose. It was something I talked about with Layla on the podcast we did, and we have to give everything we've got to those things and be able to say no to the things that just really don't serve that message. So like you say, you definitely could create a course and that'd be a cool idea, and that part of your entrepreneurial brain is like, that would offer this and this to people and would help them in these ways. But it makes more sense to say true in line to your mission and your message, because otherwise you're going to give people who come to your community kind of maybe a false impression, maybe a confusing message of, oh, is this community about self-growth and development, or is this a community about writing books and learning how to write books, And if that's not your core passion, it's better off being left to the people whose core passion it is. Because like you said, I'm sure there's a community out there, but if there's not, it would make a great community on how to write your book, how to self-publish. There's so many things people could dive into with that.
Right.
But we have to be able to stay true to, in your words, doing what we know. I don't know if that's the intent behind the book, but it makes a lot of sense.
It really is. I mean, to tell you a little bit of the backstory of my book was I was a network. I was for lack of a better word, I was a compulsive network marketer for about 4 decades. I would get in a network marketing business, get all the tools, read all the books everybody said to read, and then I would watch everybody around me having all the success that I'd never experienced for myself. And literally did that for 3 to 4 decades. And finally, I ran across a mentor, but I went to an event and all the top speakers said that the one thing that had led them to success was they had invested heavily in mentorship over the years. And up until that point, I had never really, I mean, I heard of mentors, but I had never really heard it put in that term. So when I left that particular convention, I sought mentorship. And when I started hearing from a mentor, this is where you're at, this is what you need to do, and help me along, then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, okay, that's why I never succeeded in network marketing, because I had everything they had except the mindset. And even all the books that I was reading and the audios I was listening to taught about mindset, but I didn't have somebody to help me internalize that. And that's what the mentor is there for.
Mhm.
So that's what the book came out for, was to give back what my mentor gave me, basically.
Yeah, I love that concept. And I think, again, it ties in really well to school because you look at, we've got free communities, we've got paid communities. I myself own a free community and I own a paid community. And I didn't really understand the difference between the two for a long time. And I thought, I was being engaging on the platform, I was doing everything you're supposed to do, but I was looking at school as like, oh, I'm basically paying this monthly membership as rent for my community, and this is our space, our silo, because that had been indoctrinated into me from traditional media. And it wasn't until I started branching out, getting on the schoolers page, which is how I initially connected with Sean. And it was like, I'll not forget it. It was literally like 2 weeks ago, but it was like the veil was lifted before my eyes, and all of a sudden I saw the light, and I really saw this community or this platform for what it can truly be. And it really taught me that, oh, paid communities should be treated as if that's like a paid mentor partnership. Free communities are really like a great social space to, yes, learn and grow and develop, and have as a kind of a crossroads for other opportunities, which I think Evolve Now Social is really great with. But also the value when you get into a paid community, especially a smaller paid community that's a little more exclusive, a little more like one-on-one approach and direction, the value goes up so highly. And so when I connected with Sean, immediately the insight that he brought to me, the value that I gained from just the one quick conversation we had, and the level of action I saw him take. I didn't know this guy at all. We've talked several times since. I feel like I know him a lot better now, and he's been an incredibly powerful connection. But I didn't really know him that well after that one call, but I saw the energy he brought forth. I saw the skills and I saw the value he provided. And when I look at it, I'm like, $10 a month for a mentor that can help guide me on this platform. That's nothing. That's one coffee a month that I'm giving up so I can afford this. And I think sometimes people get into the weeds about the prices and the costs, but I actually just put, oh, I'm so sorry. I just put a post up about this the other day, that you've got to look at your paid community. I was talking about AAA wealth builders, actually. You've got to look at that as a investment in a high amount of value, not so much as added cost to be on the platform. And that's how I really look at it, because as you say, whenever you get into a mentorship program of any sort, whether it's one-on-one or it's through a school community, you get 10x on not just what you know and learn and understand, but the speed at which you can get from point A to point B. Because these mentors have already going to have been through all of the obstacles, all of the challenges, all the problems you're facing today. And I would definitely reflect your sentiment. Anytime I've involved a mentor in what we're doing, it has helped leaps and bounds in what we're trying to accomplish here. So I think, if anybody's on the fence of, should I join a free community? Should I join a paid community? Or maybe they're just in a ton of free communities. If that's what you want for a social space and environment, that's great. But if you're really looking to go to the next level in any particular direction, whether it's building wealth, growing on school, pursuing a specific goal, or facing a challenge you have in life, and really building yourself to the highest level possible for that, look at some good paid communities out there. Ray's got a great community. Sean's got a great community. There's all sorts of great communities out there, but look at some of those paid communities, because really the investment is in most cases very, very small for the amount of value you get out of it.
Yeah, it really is. My community is $10 a month to join. I've got a 3-tiered. There's a couple of higher paid tiers. One up, the highest paid tier actually gives you one-on-one coaching access to me. So, and it comes with that 7-day free trial. So if you're seeking a mentor, any of these groups that align with your own values and your own thought processes, it looks like it's something you could be interested in, don't be afraid to join it because it's $10 a month. If it comes with a 7-day free trial, go in and actually do the things that the community offers. Engage with other people, look in the classroom. Most classrooms have at least a couple of free courses. Go take those free courses to see what the course creator can offer. Because if they offer them in their free courses, then their paid courses are probably going to be similar, but of more value. So yeah, don't be afraid of paid courses. And the other thing is, having run a free community for a while, I find that the new members that come in are engaging, but then after a while, they kind of start fading off because they're joining other free communities. And once you get into 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 different communities, there goes that overwhelm and you don't know where to do. So you end up stopping, or maybe if you're a community creator, you just stay in your community. And I mean, that happens a lot. So if you have a paid community and you're paying somebody to be in their community, then you got skin in the game. It's just like anything else. So now you have a reason to engage with the person. The person who created a community has a definite reason. They have a definite interest in providing you value because they're charging you for it, right? I mean, I give free value all the time, but I also know when to receive payment for that value. I'm good at giving. I'm good at receiving. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's a big skill to build up as well. And I like that you bring that idea up for anybody on school. I think this is another important thing to understand. If you look at my community right now, Impossible Performance, it's going to say there's 32, 33 members. I think it's 32 at $27 a month. So people are going to get on their phone, calculate what's 32 times 27. That's how much money he's making a month. No, that's not how much money I'm making a month. We've changed our payment structure several times. When we first started the group, it was a free group. And I think, especially if you're new to school, I think it's worth your time to start a free group first, that either you transition to paid or you make a second group that is paid, because it will really help you learn the platform, how to build a community. If you start right away with paid and you've never really done anything like that before, which is what I did, and I made a mistake in, it is very, very, very hard to try to build a strong community when you don't really understand the platform. You don't really know what you're doing yet. And so it's worth the time to build up that free community and start learning how to get engagement, get discussion, get things like that. And then you can work on monetizing later. But most of those members in there are free for life access members.
yeah,
Because there was a time where we were running the freemium structure. Basically, it's like free to join and then paid to get tiered upgrades. And I love that structure. I think it's a great structure. But we were having that same problem that you talk about, where we were getting a lot of people to join, and we were getting a lot of off-platform people to join, meaning people who have never been on school a day in their life, never even heard of it till we started approaching it. And the challenge with that is, here's this new app they downloaded that they're not used to using. Their brains are subconsciously programmed to get on Facebook and Instagram, but they're not subconsciously programmed to get on school. And so we get all these people to join, people we know and love, and everything, we speak as highly as we could ever about, but they're not on the platform, they're not engaged, and they're not doing stuff. And so that's when we decided, hey, we're going to move back to paid only. We're just going to keep it easy. We even removed our tiers. I think tiers are great, but we took ours out for the time being because we said we just want to run this as just like a monthly payment community, start building up that engagement, start building up that network, start really developing and refining this community into what we know it can be. But we're going to leave it paid only with the 7-day free trial still, but because we want people to have that investment in it.
Right.
Like you say, if it's a free community, people have a tendency to join as many communities as they want. It's free. Why not? See what works.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad strategy. But if it's a paid community, people are invested in it by default. And so it will lead to more engagement. And it will also make sure that the people who are there are people who really actually want to be there. And I said,
Correct.
I would rather have 10 members for the rest of our lives who are fully committed, fully engaged, and really want to dive in and bring this philosophy into their life at the highest level. Then I would rather have 10 people that do that than 10,000 people that don't do it at all.
Exactly. And then the other thing, when people look at a community and say, for example, in your case, $27 a month, and think you're making $27 a month times 50 members or ever how many members, not only is it the people that came in free before you went paid grandfathered in, if your community is like mine, I also pay an affiliate commission if they bring somebody in. So some of those members that came in through other members. So I don't make that full amount either. So that's, you can't just look at face value on a community that charges X amount per month and has X amount of people, to donors making that much money. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
like.
and that's a great point. The affiliate adds into that as well, and really that's a big message I think for new people on school. If you're a community owner or just a user, don't focus in so much on, oh, this person's doing this, I have to do this. I would recommend, based on what I've failed at and learned from, start your community free for first, whatever you're interested in. Even if you start a community of like, hey, this isn't the ultimate thing I want to do, but I have this weird little interest in neuroscience or astrophysics or whatever it is, start a free community around that. Literally just make it a social space to hang out, to connect, to learn and grow from, and have fun with it. That's what we're doing with our second community, which is a free community called the Orion Collective. It's just a social space to hang out, have fun in, learn from each other. I love the posting and the discussion that happens in there, and people can collaborate. They can promote their own stuff as much as they want. I love communities that bring that aspect as well. And just start that out, learn how to build a community, learn how to create a culture, how to create a feel, and then go to either monetizing that community or creating the community that you really are passionate about. But don't let yourself get too in the weeds about what other people are doing or what you think other people are making, because we don't want this to become that Instagram environment where it looks like everybody else is succeeding at the highest level and you're not. It's not that way at all. Just keep on pushing, keep on learning, keep building connections, which is so huge. And I know you can speak to that very well, Ray. But
Yep.
build those connections and grow, learn the platform, and then scale up from there.
Absolutely. Great advice. Yeah. Building the connections is far more important than comparison. You can never be somebody else. So that's the way I look at it. I can't be somebody else. So why should I compare myself to somebody else? I can be the best version of myself that I can be. And that's my goal. So, yeah. Well, Matt, it's been great. That 30 minutes has flown by already. We'll just wrap up. If you got anything, how people can connect with you, because we're audio as well. I mean, we're going to put show notes obviously on the YouTube channel, but with iHeart and iTunes and Amazon Music, there's no show notes to look at. So how can people reach out and connect with you?
Yeah. The best way to find us right now is just go to www.impossibleperformance.com. Links to all of our resources are there. We're actually transitioning everything over right now to AAA Fair Benefit, which I know you're on that platform as well, Ray. So if it's a totally new thing coming, guys, it is coming to us. It's going to be our main landing page and our main where everything is redirected from there. But that will be coming. We can find those links on our school community. If you go on school, type in Impossible Performance, type in the Orion Collective, go on YouTube, type in the Impossible Podcast. Those are the best ways that you can find what we're doing, and reach out to us through any of those vectors. We watch them all very closely. We love responding to people. We love connecting, and we'll definitely respond and get back to you.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Matt. It's been a pleasure. Love your story. Love your fire, your passion, and can definitely tell that you've got something driving you and to get that word out. So again, thanks again, and look forward to talking again soon.
Absolutely, Ray. Hey, I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. Growth happens when knowledge turns into action. If you're ready to keep that work going, join us inside the Doing What You Know community at doingwhatyouknow.com/team. Thanks for spending this time with me. Until next time, keep doing what you know.